You're hitting around some of the things I love about college sports and kids and the passion and how college is different than the pro game. You've worked in the NFL, you've had success there. Does it still feel different to you, or do you see some of those pro influences bleeding into kind of how kids approach their decisions?
Yeah, I think it's still different. The biggest thing is, when you bring in a pro football player, they sign a contract and they're a part of your program for a period of time, and then after that period of time, there's free agency, and then everybody works in the same salary cap, and everybody has the availability to sign at the same exact amount of players at the same exact amount of dollars. That's first of all. Secondly, you draft them, they don't pick you. So the teams that play the worst get the highest picks. The teams that play the best get the lowest picks to try to keep parity. So I think those are the biggest differences between the two. I would also say there's an incredible passion and joy that college football brings that it's not as much business-like in some regards, that there's fans that truly live and die for your program, and the players the idea is the amateurism is a good thing, and that they love the fact that they could really put on a smiling face every time they go out to compete. So I think it's different in a lot of ways. I hope it doesn't become too much like the NFL, because unless they start, putting a salary cap down there and monitoring things and monitoring rules, there's just no way it'll ever work.
Yeah, and I think I'm the same way. Like, I support kids, and I think those college kids, their right to earn name, image, likeness, great. But I don't want to lose college sports, and I think I hear that from you too. And you were in Vegas. I was in Vegas for the Pac-12 tournament, and you were there at the championship game supporting Arizona in that Arizona UCLA game. Why is that important for you to show up and support other teams?
Yeah, well, I mean, to me, I'm employed not by Arizona football. I'm employed by the University of Arizona. And the idea that I can, and my wife and I can go enjoy 3 college basketball games. We went for the whole tournament. I was at the Stanford game, I was at the ASU game, and then I was at the UCLA game. And Amber and I love being there to cheer on our team. We have a very good relationship with Coach Lloyd and his wife. We enjoy being around our programs. It's something very important to us. My first year here, I had the ability to be at the national championship game for our women's basketball team to support Coach Barnes. And why wouldn't you do that? In the NFL, you don't have that opportunity. In college sports, you do. And you have a chance to truly support all the athletes that you get to see in the cafeteria and all the athletes that you get to see on campus and on the practice fields. And I just think that's a really important part of the job as a college head coach.
We always talk about, like, college coaches, pro coaches will have other coaching staffs come in the spring and observe. Can you learn from the basketball program? Can Tommy Lloyd learn from the football program? Are there discussions that you guys have about the landscape and, how you recruit, and, do you talk through that with, on your own campus?
Yeah, we do. We have we talk about all sorts of different things, from how you recruit to what has worked and what doesn't, what's important, what isn't, to the overall landscape and, the overall impact of all the decisions that programs are making right now, from budgetary decisions to NIL decisions to just, we all have the same donors. We all have the same boosters. So we have to have those conversations, and we have to be able to continue to work together, and we do, with all of our sports, to see how we can be successful with all 21 sports that we have here. But yeah, I think that I think especially at our program, I don't know about others. When I was at Michigan, John Beilein used to come into a bunch of my offensive meetings because he liked the way we coached route running, and he liked the way we talked to our receivers about sticking their foot in the ground. I remember him saying that and taking that back to his practices. I love watching his practice, and I just think it's a special part of being a college coach, is being able to be around such great coaches in other sports.
I had coaches tell me that, they're having a hard time in the Pac-12. The hardest position to recruit is getting big defensive tackles. The SEC pulling some guys out of the Pac-12 footprint. How do you approach that conversation, or with kids, with recruits? When you're looking for defensive tackles, is it really that hard to find those kids?
Yes, it is. You're trying to find guys that have a certain size to them that is not, I would say, not all over the West Coast. And there are a lot more of that size in the Southeast and the Midwest. And you're trying to find 6'3" to 6'5", 305 to 315-pound interior linemen. That is very difficult to find. And when you do find them, you're competing with everybody. So you got to have your own little, shtick on how you can get them there. We did benefit from some transfers, I hope, this year. We have a transfer from Georgia. We have a transfer from UCLA. We have a transfer from Cal. We have a transfer, and then we have some young guys that I could think of right now that we're all big kids that we're trying to develop. We played a lot of freshmen last year, a ton on defense, and we're hopeful that this year we could grow them into being a really good defensive line.
You during the recruiting season, we had a lot of noise about the media rights deal and UCLA, USC leaving for the Big Ten. Are those conversations affecting recruiting, or the recruiting process, was it different this year than other years in the Pac-12?
I don't think media rights are. I would say NIL is. I would say is affecting it far more than media rights. As long as the media rights keep going to the coaches and the universities, I don't think that there's much concern from a player perspective. Where the players are getting involved and the parents are getting involved is they want to know, a lot of them want to know what their son can make financially. And I think that's the biggest problem. I don't think it's the media rights. I think the media is going to land where they land, but that's going to be between the presidents and the ADs, because really all that really does is put more money in the rest of our pockets. And I think the biggest thing right now in recruiting is how can the players benefit from our programs and how we can help them.
Yeah, because before the recruiting conversation, what was it about? It was about fit and playing time and opportunity. How good is this team going to be? How early in that conversation now does that NIL thing come up?
Well, I think it just depends on the player and who you're recruiting, and it depends on the program and how much value you put on it. There's very rarely a time that it doesn't come up, but I think that, if you meet it head on and you're honest, I always tell our recruits, ask all the head coaches the same questions and tell you. And I think that that's really what it comes down to when it comes to those programs, to NIL and transfers and how you're going to handle that within your program. But it's a big topic. Facilities are not nearly as important as they once were, but they should be, as long as when it comes to weight rooms and training rooms. But I always believe you should pick it by your personnel, not nothing else. So do you feel like you can play? Do you feel like you can impact the team? Do you feel like you can get coached by the right people, that the trainers are going to take great care of you, that the strength coach is going to develop you? And if those things happen, the rest of it is kind of irrelevant.
When I was a kid, I got one of those electric football games, that big piece of metal that would vibrate and the players would shift around. I'd line up the players and experiment with formations. What did Jedd Fisch play as a kid?
Oh, I played Stratomatic baseball was a big one for me. Techno football was always that was kind of the one little game. And I got to be honest with you, though. I think everyone thinks this is a crazy stat, but I've never played a video game before in my life. So
really,
and I've kept that stat going. So I don't know much about video games. I do know like the board games was that's why Stratomatic baseball was kind of the best one.
Yeah, I had Stratomatic baseball. You'd keep score, and you were rolling dice, and in some other games, versions of the games, you'd flip over cards. It was fantastic and made you think. Was that your parents? Did they just say no video games?
No, I just don't think it never really did it for me. I never got excited. I much prefer to just, go play outside or go do something that could benefit myself more than a video game could. So I don't know. It just was one of those things. And then when I went to college, I just never did it. I started working in the football office. I started doing some other, things, and I'd much prefer to go coach and play than I did to go do it on a video.
All right, last question. Best advice Jedd Fisch has ever received?
It's better to try and fail than fail to try and suffer the inestimable loss of what might have been.
Love that. Thank you for making time. Thanks for being patient with me. I appreciate you, Coach.
You got it. Thanks, John.
All right,
appreciate it, buddy.
Take care.
All right, man. See ya.